Like most young Americans in the 1950s, Jim Mattis idolized the American heroes of World War II. Generals Douglas MacArthur, George Patton, and Dwight D. Eisenhower, and Admirals Chester Nimitz, Bull Halsey, and Ray Spruance. But there was always a place of honor reserved for the tens of thousands of Marines who fought and were killed in the horrific battles of Saipan, Guadalcanal, and Iwo Jima. These were the Leathernecks, the Marines who hit the beaches first and planted the flag atop Mount Suribachi.
A young American joins the Army. That very day, he can call himself a soldier. If he joins the Navy, he's a sailor. Or airman, same thing. But if a young person joins the Marines, he damn well better not call himself a Marine. He hasn't earned the title. And that's where the difference starts. If you're going to be a United States Marine, you damn well have to earn the title. And that's not easily done.
This was the standard teenager Jim Mattis set for himself. Here are the stories of a few Marine mavericks who likely inspired him and who fought valiantly with the OSS during World War II. Peter Ortiz, a French Foreign Legionnaire, parachuted twice into France as part of OSS Jedburgh Union Missions 1 and 2. Once when his team was surrounded, Ortiz surrendered to the Gestapo to spare villagers severe reprisals. Brutally interrogated, he revealed nothing. Ortiz was awarded 2 Navy Crosses and was the most highly decorated Marine to serve in OSS. Recruited into OSS by General Donovan, Frank Farrell recruited Japanese-American Nisei to convince enemy soldiers to surrender, and local Melanesians to serve as coast watchers in the Solomon Islands. Chesty Puller said Farrell was the finest young Marine officer I ever knew. An anthropologist, Charlotte Chapman served in OSS as a Far East analyst and was recognized as a field researcher in the anthropology of warfare and terror, now known as applied anthropology. Charlotte retired as a lieutenant colonel and was the only female Marine to serve in OSS. Colonel Bill Eddy led OSS intelligence operations in the invasion of North Africa. General Patton, eyeing Eddy's many medals, said, "I don't know who he is, but the son of a bitch sure has been shot at enough." Eddy was no saint, saying the OSS was in a death struggle with the Gestapo, and like Churchill, aligned himself with devils to survive. We deserve to go to hell when we die. Sterling Hayden was a lifelong sailor, a free spirit. He became a Hollywood legend, starring in Dr. Strangelove and The Godfather. Operating an OSS Maritime Unit, predecessor to the Navy SEALs, Hayden sailed across the Adriatic to equip Yugoslav partisans, earning a Silver Star for his courage in making hazardous sea voyages and reconnaissance in enemy-infested waters. Jim Mattis is cut from the same cloth as these legendary OSS Marines.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4.
General Mattis is an extraordinary military leader, just has natural charisma, connects with his troops.
He was a truly legendary, inspirational, highly competent, sometimes profane battlefield commander.
Mattis was born in 1950 in eastern Washington. His mother had worked in Army intelligence, and his father had worked at a plant, supplying fissile material to the Manhattan Project. Mattis grew up as a rough-and-tumble Westerner, hitchhiking throughout the Pacific Northwest, climbing in the mountains of the Cascade Range and getting out of a few scrapes along the way. Mattis was fascinated by military history, with a library of 7,000 books. He later drew up reading lists for his Marines and insisted they be familiar with the culture of where they were deployed.
General Mattis has been absolutely dedicated to the profession of arms, and he's used his passion for reading military history in particular, but history of various regions of the world and cultures as well, to inform his professional development and his career.
During the Gulf War, Lieutenant Colonel Mattis commanded 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, one of Task Force Ripper's assault battalions. Mattis later took command of the 1st Marine Expeditionary Brigade and earned his nickname, Chaos, an acronym for Colonel has an outstanding solution.
He would say, be polite, be courteous, have a plan to kill everyone you meet. And again, this actually does capture some realities, by the way. You actually do need to be polite, you need to be courteous, you need to be ready for a handshake or a hand grenade and ready to respond appropriately to either. And he absolutely got that.
Marine officer Nathaniel Fick once saw Mattis sitting in a foxhole in Afghanistan talking with a sergeant and a lance corporal. No one would have questioned Mattis if he slept 8 hours each night in a private room, woken each morning by an aide who ironed his uniforms and heated his MREs. But there he was, in the middle of a freezing night, out on the lines with his Marines.
Particularly as a division commander in the invasion of Iraq in 2003, he was really known for speed and boldness of maneuver.
Mattis commanded 1st Marine Division in the 2003 invasion of Iraq and the Iraq War. Mattis played key roles in Fallujah, negotiating with the insurgent command inside the rebel-held city.
The unique ability that General Mattis had was to actually ensure that his intent was conveyed down to the lowest level inside of a Marine division. So in this case, we had more than 20,000 Marines fighting with the 1st Marine Division in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And I can tell you that every single one of those 20,000 individuals knew exactly what the commanding general expected and was let free then to accomplish the mission.
Mattis popularized the 1st Marine Division's motto, no better friend, no worse enemy, originally chiseled into the epitaph of Roman strongman Lucius Cornelius Sulla. In 2010, Mattis was nominated by President Obama to replace David Petraeus as commander of the United States Central Command. As head of CENTCOM, Mattis oversaw Iraq and Afghanistan and worked to counter Iran, including ramping up covert operations and the disruption of Iranian arms shipments to Syria and Yemen.
What also makes him unique, besides being one of our preeminent warriors of the past several decades, is he's a very shrewd grand strategist. He understands other elements of national power. He's a big supporter of intelligence, special operations forces, sees force as last resort, understands the relationship between force and diplomacy, and the importance of allies.
In November 2016, Mattis was nominated by President-elect Trump to serve as the 26th United States Secretary of Defense. Mattis was quickly confirmed and took strong and principled positions throughout his tenure. He warned North Korea that any attack on the United States or our allies will be defeated, and any use of nuclear weapons would be met with an effective and overwhelming response. Mattis fought for U.S. troops to remain in Iraq, saying, "We go out of our way to always do everything humanly possible to reduce the loss of life or injury among innocent people." Mattis called the April 2017 Syrian chemical attack a heinous act and warned Syria it would pay a very, very stiff price for further use of chemical weapons. On December 19th, 2018, President Trump announced a full U.S. withdrawal from Syria. Mattis had said the U.S. would remain in Syria after the defeat of ISIS so that they did not regroup. The next day, Secretary Mattis submitted his resignation. His resignation letter praised NATO and the Defeat ISIS coalition. Mattis affirmed the need for treating allies with respect and also being clear-eyed about both malign actors and strategic competitors, and remaining resolute and unambiguous against China and Russia.
I absolutely share Jim's view that we want as many allies as we can. We want as many folks with guns from as many countries all there with us when the shooting starts. It's not always easy. Alliance maintenance, coalition maintenance is a time-consuming, sometimes painful task. But Winston Churchill was right when he said that the only thing worse than fighting with allies is fighting without them.
General Mattis was a student of history, and I think one of the takeaways he has from his study of history is that at the end of the day, leadership is about character. And General Mattis embodied those characteristics of great leaders throughout history.
James Mattis is hardcore and devoted to his Marines. He embodies Semper Fi. He displays the austere demeanor and stoic virtues of Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one."
In 76 years of being a Marine, I have never found one person to say to me, gee, I wish I hadn't been a Marine. They're all proud of it. They're brothers. They believe in something very special. It's right at the heart of this country.